Hi, this is Celeste with the Celestial Report, and this is NanoMoments for July 12th, 2021. The journals did come in, and so we're going to hit a few of the highlights from those journals that came in yesterday. So let me share screen. Okay, here we go. And I am doing this so that I don't forget the highlights because I go through way too many journal articles. So what I need to start doing is making these bigger. So this one is talking about full electrical writing and reading of magnetization states in a magnetic junction with symmetrical structure and anti-parallel magnetic configuration. And I know many of you are trying to grasp what's going on with this magnetism, and we are going to dive in to all the different nuances of that in the next webinar, but this is going to help you prepare you for what you're going to be hearing. And I know it's a little bit complicated, but we're going for it anyway. So what are the subjects that we're dealing with? We're dealing with electric field, nitrides, let's see, layers, magnetic properties, and electrical energy. So what is this all about? So full electrical writing and reading. So this is a read-write system of magnetization states are vital for the development of next generation spintronic devices. And that spintronic device is you. And so they are trying to get a read and write system ready to put into your body and the readers outside the body so they can read what the surveillance that they're getting from inside your body. The proposed method to realize the full electrical writing and reading of magnetization states via a structural design which only requires a symmetrical device structure and an anti-parallel magnetic configuration. So we're going to dive into these words. What in the world do they mean? So the anti-parallel magnetic moments in both ferromagnetic, that's iron, and anti-ferromagnetic, which are things that are not iron, can be explained by a super exchange behavior that occurs in oxide materials. And as I'm hearing from lots of you about the Spanish report and the oxides, the graphene oxide. So this is that graphene oxide, that Spanish report is part of this electrical writing and reading magnetization system that they are getting together. So what is an anti-parallel alignment? It is the result of a super exchange of the spin energy within the material. And that is one thing. Remember, I'm talking about the nanoparticles change the magnetism of the body and they change the spin of the atoms. And so this anti-parallel alignment has to do with that specifically. And now this is very interesting. In biochemistry, two biopolymers are anti-parallel if they run parallel to each other, but with opposite directionality or alignment. So, okay, one's moving right, let's say clockwise, one's moving counterclockwise. An example is two complementary strands of DNA double helix, which run in opposite directions alongside each other. And that is it's important that we start getting familiar with these words. We don't have to fully understand the concepts yet, but if we start getting familiar with anti-parallel alignment and anti-parallel magnetic moments, electrical writing and reading magnetization, I mean, then we're going to understand more comprehensively when we do the deep dive. So by changing the direction and the magnitude of the applied electrical field, so that means your frequencies coming in and hitting your body, it is proved that the magnetization can be reversed or could be reversed. And so that's what they're in the process of doing with all these nanoparticles. The device energies before and after the magnetization reversal are the same when the applied electrical field is removed due to the structural symmetry. And what is symmetry for those of you that are unfamiliar with that word? So it is a noun, the correspondence of a form and arrangement of elements or parts on opposite sides of the dividing line or plane, or about a center or an axis. So if you cut something in half, or the spin of the earth is on an axis, you're probably familiar with that. The atoms in our body do the same thing. A relationship in which the correspondence or similarity between entities or parts. I thought that that was pretty interesting. And beauty as a result of pleasing proportions or harmonious arrangement. And because I'm a photojournalist, I'm all about that positioning, trying to get that right beauty and balance. So meanwhile, the magnetic anisotropy energy could induce an energy barrier to guarantee a non-volatile magnetization reversal in a present device. So they're also talking, when they're changing the spin of the atoms, about putting an energy barrier there. So anisotropy is the property of a material which allows it to change or assume different properties in different directions as opposed to isotropy. It can be defined as a difference when measuring along axis in a material's physical or mechanical properties, such as absorbance, refractive index, conductivity, tensile strength, and more. And this is going to become more and more critical, especially for people who are getting stuffed with these soft robotic technologies. So this is where I thought was very interesting. So in embryology, the condition of the axis predetermined applied to certain differentiated animal ova opposed to isotropy. So once again, are they implanting us with some alien or foreign? Well, obviously it's foreign if it's like robotic, but something, an animal ova, and they're messing with our embryology. So I thought that that was pretty interesting. So the tunnel magno resistance ratio was found to be upwards of 421%, showing a promising application for a fully electrically write and read magnetization in spintronics. So basically they are turning you into when you take these technologies into your body, they're turning you into a soft robotic or a spintronic, and they can electrically read and write. So they can program you, they can get information out. So that's a little bit about that. So what is tunnel magnetoresistance, or TMR? It is magnetoresistance effect that occurs in a magnetic tunnel junction, or a MTI, which is a component consisting of two ferromagnets separated by a thin insulator. If the insulating layer is thin enough, typically a few nanometers, electrons can tunnel from one ferromagnet into the other. So what is happening is they are dosing or doping us with different iron compounds or ferro, and then magnetizing them and changing the magnetism and the spin. And when they put that, for those getting the test with the swab, way up the nasal cavity, right next to the brain, it's almost next to the brain. It doesn't have far to go. So it fits that typical few nanometers. So basically, they're counting on that quantum dot and hydrogel electrons tunneling from the sinus cavity to the brain, due to the magnetism. And they can do that outside the body, which is what we're talking about. So they can remotely do that and control the invasion of your brain. This really is the invasion of this is the brain snatchers, not necessarily the body snatchers. So what are the key words that you want to remember with this particular study? Full electrical, structural symmetry, non-volatile, they say that, but whenever they say non-volatile, it's always volatile, and a magnetization reversal. Now, what I want to dig into in the days to come is if they are reversing the magnetism in our body or playing with it in different ways, how is that, what effect is that going to have on mankind when the Earth's does a flip? Right now, the magnetic poles are wandering, and what happens when they flip? So I'm trying to do some research on that, and I will get back to you hopefully for the webinar, but if not, I'll be looking at that in the days to come. So we're only going to look at 3 studies today because I know it's a little dense. So the next one is wireless tags with hybrid nanomaterials for volatile amine detection. And the subjects that we're talking about are oxides. And you're hearing about that graphene oxide in that Spanish report, sensors, animal-derived foods, amines, and carbon nanotubes. And here's a picture of what this looks like. I don't think it's the best graphic in the world, but at least we have something. So quality control in the production and processing of raw meat is currently one of the biggest concerns for the food industry. Actually, it's for the corporate and global handlers, but they put it off on the food industry. So the meat supply chain is being flooded with portable and wireless sensors capable of detecting the onset of spoilage. This began with the Bioterrorism Act of 2001, or no, 2002. Sorry, the Bioterrorism Act of 2002. So raw meat is a natural source of biogenic and volatile amines, and the amine hormones, sorry about the typo there, all derivatives of amino acid tyrosine. They include thyroid hormones, so your epinephrine and norepinephrine, so that's your adrenal glands, and your dopamine, which is produced in the hypothalamus, which is responsible for your memory. So the epinephrine is your fight or flight, and thyroid is like energy and weight and all sorts of different things. So let me get down here a little bit. So they have designed this hybrid chemical chemi resistor sensor based on inorganic nanofibers. And those are, it could be much like Morgellons, except they say that they are inorganic. So maybe like asbestos or something, that type of a fiber, and a single walled carbon nanotube functionalized with dosimetric sensitivity. That means that it is triggered. It has a switch that will trigger with frequency. And they're very excited about that. Going down to the next paragraph, the hybrid nano material-based chemi resistor sensory material was used to convert radio frequency ID tags into chemically actuated resonant devices, which constitute wireless sensors that can be potentially employed in packaging, and I would say even in your body, because your skin is your packaging, to report on the quality of the meat or the quality of the condition of our body. So these wireless tags report on cumulative amine exposure inside the meat package. And remember that actress that was calling us just meat suits. So this was the precursor to this. That is just conditioning for this day and time. So showing a decrease in radio frequency signals to the point where the sensor ceased to be smartphone readable. And why is this important? So that the average person cannot detect the encrypted messages that it's sending. So for instance, you want to know if that meat that you're buying at the store is contaminated, has it been sitting out, or does it have some sort of bacteria in it? You would not be able to find out, but the health department would be able to find out. So, but because the messages are all encrypted, with the cell phone technology these days, many things are smartphone readable, but they don't want you to have that capability. So they're putting in this hybrid Chemo resistor sensor in as a platform. So the hybrid material modified wireless tags to offer a path to scalable, affordable, portable, and wireless chemical sensor technology. And remember, Dr. James Scorodano said we've all been dosed with these chemicals, and now the cat is coming out of the bag that they are actually chemical sensor technology for food quality monitoring. You have to wonder if that means cannibalism. And it's applicable for people and for surveillance. And so what are the keywords that we want to remember in this? The inorganic nanofibers, the carbon nanotubes, amine sensing, and wireless sensing. So these are the words that you want to pay attention to if you see it in, let's say, media, whether it's print or somebody on YouTube or whatever. So I'm actually doing a little bit on sensors today, and this does come to us. Many of these come to us from the ACS sensor journals. So one thing that my community and I've been talking about is Hollow Lev, a hybrid, another hybrid magnetic levitation platform integrated with a lensless holographic microscopy for density-based cell analysis. And we'll get this down here so you can see a picture of this. I'm a little bit concerned about this. So here's LED with a pinhole. If you've ever shown a light through, like a flashlight through a keyhole or whatever. But now they're using a process called magnetic levitation of particles and cells. And then there is this hologram that is produced. And then there is a reconstructed image. This is troubling. So the way that they have already told us that they are restructuring light, and now they're going to be adding this hologram and reconstructed image. My concern, just looking at this image itself, is that anybody, now let's get to the article. So in clinical practice, a variety of diagnostic applications require the identification of target cells. Yes, we're in precision medicine where every cell in your body is targeted. Density has been used as a physical marker to distinguish cell populations since metabolic activities could alter the cell density. So magnetic levitation offers great promise for separating cells at the single cell level within population with respect to cell density. So they're actually going to levitate. Let's say they want to target a specific cell group, but they're all clustered together. So with levitation through frequency, they're going to lift off or separate these cells so that they can just go after the ones that they want to target. So traditional magnetic levitation platforms need bulky and precise optical microscopes to visualize levitated cells. We introduce a device called Hollow Lev as a fusion of magnetic levitation principle and lensless digital inline holographic microscopy. That's really a mouthful. Like I said, in the days to come, if you have this Hollow Lev in your glasses or your contact lenses, since it has a holographic feature and it can redo an image, are the things that we are going to be seeing with our optical devices going to be a hologram, a reconstructed image, or are we actually seeing reality? It's a question that we have to ask. It's a question that, and it's a technology that we have to be aware of, so that literally we may not be able to trust our eyes. And actually in Isaiah, there is a passage, I believe it's in Isaiah 11, and it says, do not make a decision on what your eyes see, nor make a judgment by what your ears hear. And so maybe that was speaking for our day and time. So getting back to the journal, by placing an imaging sensor just beneath the microcapillary channel without any lenses, recorded holograms are processed for determining cell density through a fully automated digital image processing scheme. Anytime they use the word scheme, I don't like it. The device costs less than $100 and has a compact design that can fit into any pocketbook. We perform a viability test on this device by levitating 3 different cell lines and comparing them against their dead correspondence. So, you know, they're comparing this levitation. Can they levitate equally as well with live cells? And they gave out all the different cell lines. I didn't bore you with that. And then compared it with the dead cells from those to see if it still had levitation capabilities. So what are the keywords that you want to remember that you might see in the media in the days to come? Magnetic levitation, holographic microscopy, if I could say it, density-based separation, and cells. And if you do go to this one in ACS sensors, there is a supporting document that you could read, like a white paper. So that is all I have for today. I'm going to make these a little shorter because they are highly technical, and I'll try and do a little bit more explaining of how these are applicable to you in your life. I do go through a number, so you know, even when I try and get it at a very simplistic level, it's not always easy to do that because I'm getting used to the technology, the concepts. And so it's then hard to remember what it was like to have never heard these words before, but I'll do my best. So God bless you all, and we'll see you next time on NanoMoments.